Hi everyone, in this short video, I'm going to be talking about how you can better learn technologies, and it's a skill worth acquiring because technologies keep changing, updating all the time. So having a strong foundation on which you can learn new technologies will serve you in the longer run. Now, I'm going to be referencing this book that's called The Programmer's Brain. And it's a pretty interesting book because it's going over the cognitive processes that are involved when you are coding, reading code, and learning how to code, and being aware of these cognitive processes and using strategies to strengthen these cognitive processes will allow you to learn tech better. So what are some of the ways you can achieve this? Now, right at the beginning, the core concept which is presented is that there are three types of confusion. And these three types of confusions are associated with three different types of cognitive processes and memories. So confusion number one is associated with LTM, which is short for long-term memory. And long-term memory is, where you store a lot of your old memories and information. And the part of the brain that's, that regulates this or does this is called the hippocampus. Now, a complete lack of domain-specific knowledge, which means you're a complete newbie, would indicate that there is, the confusion during learning how to code or problem solving is due to long-term memory, which doesn't have those concepts. You don't have those concepts in your long-term memory as yet. So when you're reading through that code or problem solving, you can't actually access anything from your LTM because there's nothing there as yet. So this is the first cognitive process which is involved when you are reading through some code or learning tech, some tech for the first time. And an example of this would be meaning of some keywords. For example, filter. You have no idea what filter or the let or const keywords mean, or even if you're a complete newbie to tech, you don't know what else if mean. So that's confusion number one. Now, confusion number two is associated with a short-term memory or STM. And this confusion is caused due to lack of information. And this is the second cognitive process which occurs when you're going through some code or you're learning coding, right? And in the STM, you can hold about 2 to 6 items only. Right? So these 2 to 6 items could be, name of variables. They can even be, oh, don't forget the milk. This is why they say do deep work without any distractions. So in your STM, you're holding on to information briefly as it comes into your brain. For example, the name of variables and functions. Now, the third cognitive process which is involved, or the third type of confusion is due to working memory, right? And this is also the third cognitive process which is involved when you're going through some code or coding. Now, in the working memory is where you're actually doing some, thinking and actively problem solving. And this exercise of actively solving a coding problem is called tracing. So for example, you've got some JSON and you're trying to figure out what would be the best way to filter out customers who have bought a certain item on a certain date, whose names begin with the letter A or something like that. Now, so you have these three types of confusion which are associated with the three different types of memory. An important thing to note is that these three cognitive processes are all related to one another. So you don't have a separate compartments in your brain which are completely disassociated from one another. In fact, all these three memories, LTM, STM, and working memory, depend on each other and they're interconnected. So the neurons or the brain cells are interconnected. There's a network of neurons. And understanding the type of confusion which you are currently facing can help you overcome it. So it really decreases, it's a strategy to help you decrease cognitive load as you're learning tech. So you want to ask yourself, I'm really confused, I'm feeling overwhelmed. So you want to ask yourself, is this because of complete lack of domain knowledge? So there's nothing in the LTM, in which case you want to go ahead, read a few articles, a book, and watch a few YouTube videos maybe. If it's if the confusion is due to STM, then it's basically due to lack of information. So you might not know what the filter, reduce, or map method do, in which case you can search them up, Google, and use Bing or whatever it is that you're using. Now, third process is the working memory, where the active problem solving is going on, and I'll get into this a bit more in depth, and the book does do that as well. So there are three ways of, there's not three ways, there's way more ways to deal with this. And some of them are reading code better, memorizing syntax, and chunking. The chunking is very useful, and I would suggest you also look at, I think Coursera has this course which is learning how to learn, and they go over chunking extensively. But basically, all the three cognitive processes are interconnected: LTM, STM, and working memory. So strengthening all three of them will help you to lay a foundation on which you can better learn tech. So that's all for this video. Oh, and go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do a bunch of tech stuff, which for the most part is pretty interesting.